Hello, Earth Angels, and welcome back to another episode of Alignment Academy. It's your host, Kristen. Welcome to the School for Your Soul. Alignment Academy is a place where we grow, we learn, we evolve, we heal, all to find ourselves, find God through ourselves, all of that good stuff. If you're new here, I am a spiritual mentor and mindset coach. I really blend spirituality, mindset, business, personal growth all into one because I believe that it's all a very succinct journey, and we learn a lot about healing, surrender, falling in love with the unknown, all the things. Just go through the episode list. You're going to see we talk about a lot of topics on here. While I was actually looking at some of the past episodes, it's interesting because one of the most loved episode is my episode about falling in love with the unknown. And I was just thinking about this topic, and it's interesting because my entire Cosmic CEO retreat, my Costa Rica retreat that I got home from probably like a month and a half ago now, it ended up being all about surrendering and loving the unknown. And even with a lot of my clients, the work that we do is surrendering and falling in love with the unknown. And even in my personal life, like the theme of my life has been, how can you surrender to this moment? How can you accept this moment? How can you just be in deeper devotion to what is? And I actually really believe that this is the secret to life. And so this is going to be an episode about 4 mindset shifts or tips to help you fall in love with the unknown more, to help you get to know the unknown, to help you work through your fear of the unknown, just all about the unknown. And I really think that, I shared last week on the podcast that I've been in this journey of like not even really in this phase of manifesting, but just in this phase of full surrender. And it's so interesting because it's brought up this entire new octave of surrender for me, because if I'm not actively trying to make something happen, I actually have to believe in a deeper way that whatever is for me is going to find me. And so it's interesting that on this journey of, I would say, being a little bit more in my human, that like I shared last week on the podcast. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just listen to last week's episode. But like in the being more human, it's actually forcing me to surrender more to the unseen, which is, again, a beautiful, just total, I don't know, I want to call it like an eclipse. Like of course, it's bringing me back to the spirit realm. Being more human has brought me back to deepen my spiritual practices as always, because I think surrender is one of the deepest spiritual practices. I mean, every single spiritual teacher talks about the act of like acceptance and surrender to what is, right? So we're going to just be unpacking it a little bit more today. As you can see, we have another new setting, which we love. I'm actually in my house in California. I'm on my couch, as you can see, and I actually really like the setting. So hopefully this is the one that we're going to go with. You guys know I've been like trying out a whole bunch of different areas, but yeah, this one is just cozy. It's comfy. I'm finally like grounding. I did move in like last week, and things are coming together. It's not fully together yet, but it's coming together and it feels really good. I actually feel like beach life is, obviously all San Diego is kind of beach life, but I'm like very close to the beach, and life is so much slower here. Like I just feel like the days are so long, and it is forcing me to be more in like this feminine era, if I will. I'm like, what's the rush? I just really feel like I'm on summer vacation. I know that's weird, but I feel like I work very little. Even though I feel like I'm working a lot, I also feel like I'm not working a lot of the day. I feel like I'm just like busy doing other things, like sitting outside or reading a book or walking to the beach. There's this slowness in the energy. And honestly, this is always why I was very called to California. I used to always tell my friends this, because when I first moved out to California, this was like in 2020, I was deciding between Colorado and California. And the reason I really felt called to California is because by nature, I'm sure you guys have already picked up on this, I'm very masculine by nature. Like I would say my masculine energy is more present than my feminine energy. And California has such feminine energy that I feel like it really balances me out. Whereas like if I had lived on the East Coast or, New York, Baltimore even, it was like I was too much in my hyper masculine because the energy was it was moving so quick that I felt like I was just like in my hyper masculine, that because I'm already in my masculine, this allows me to sink a little bit deeper into my feminine, if that makes sense. I don't know. Maybe you guys just think I'm weird and crazy, but that's just my take on California. And when you guys come out here and visit, you guys will understand. It's just like, it's so serene. There's just not much to do but enjoy life. And it's interesting too. Like even you go to a coffee shop in the morning and everyone is just sitting there, not even on their laptops. They're just sitting there. They're just living. They're just living the life. And I really love that about California. So, anywho, falling in love with the unknown. Ooh, okay. So I accumulated 4 tips of just working through your own maybe fear of the unknown, or how you can get more comfortable with the unknown, how you can practice deeper surrender to what is. And so we're just going to go through them, have a little chat. You guys know how this goes, and hopefully it sparks something within you. So yeah. Number 1 is, I talked about this in my first episode, but I think that everyone that has a fear of the unknown has a very deep need for control. And when I really unpacked this within myself, I realized that my need for control was actually a very deep trauma response. And I think that that's the same for a lot of people. Your need for control a lot of times comes from feeling a lack of safety in your environment as a child. And so you latch on to what you can control so that you feel like you have a sense of control, right? And when I was really unpacking my need for control, it was because I felt so unsafe in my environment. Like I think this was particularly when my parents were going through a divorce and I was getting kind of bullied at school. It's like anything that I could control made me feel more secure. And so as I grew up, that's how it manifested, is like I wanted to continue to keep controlling because it made me feel safe. Now, when we're falling in love with the unknown, what that requires of us is to create our safety within, to create a higher baseline of safety so that we don't need to control. And I think that this is actually a lot of trauma healing. It's so interesting because even in my inner work alchemy group, the very first week was all about creating a higher baseline of safety, because safety work is the most important work. Like if you don't feel safe in your life, and I was actually explaining to this, like I was showing them the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I'll put this on the screen for those of you who are watching the video. In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the very bottom of the tiers are creating like safety, just like basic needs, and creating security, financial security, home security, etc. And at the very top of the graph is basically self-actualization, confidence, being all that you can become. And the problem with most people is that they're trying to get to the top of the pyramid. They're trying to be self-actualized and be all that they can be, but they haven't mastered actually just feeling safe in their body. And so the reason that they try to get on social media and try to be all that they can be, but they can't do it, is because they don't feel safe. And so that's when, that's why I teach Scared to Seen and so much nervous system work. It's like you have to learn how to feel safe within, feel safe being judged, being cringe, feeling safe just overall, so that you can be all that you can be. And I think that this is also falling in love with the unknown. You won't be able to fall in love with the unknown unless you feel secure within yourself. The thing is you can't control things even if you try your hardest, right? If you thought about those things that you're worrying about for 5 more hours, you still are not going to be able to control them. Like genuinely, you're not. You're just going to get yourself more in a dysregulated state, and it's not going to affect the outcome at all. I want you to really think about that. You worrying about that thing is actually not going to affect the outcome whatsoever. And so you actually have no other option but to surrender. Really hear me when I say that. Like you don't really have another option. Your other option is to just worry until you you just worry yourself into misery, right? And so if you're listening to this, my guess is that you do have a deep desire to trust the universe more. There's really no other option but to try to control and just make your life worse, because when you're trying to control, you're putting yourself in a stressful state, and then your basically electromagnetic field is getting really dim around you, and you're just so not magnetic, right? People who trust the universe are so magnetic. Like they literally have a bigger electromagnetic field around them. So what I'm trying to say is, number one is get curious for your need to control. Was there somewhere in childhood that you felt so unsafe that you had to grasp onto control? Or did you see your mom and your dad over controlling something, and that's how you learned that that's the way to be and that's the only way to do things? Like, you kind of got to do some inner child work here. I hate to bring everything back to inner child work, but everything is inner child work. You learned that somewhere. You picked that up somewhere. And so get curious and take yourself through the inner child work or through the safety work. And I do have a meditation, I'll link it below, called Return to Safety. And it's one of the best meditations to help you increase your baseline of safety and create a stronger sense of safety within. And when you create more safety within, you actually increase your core vibration and you're more magnetic, because what that vibrational signature is I'm good. I'm good. No matter what, I'm good. I will figure it out, right? So tip number one, get curious about your need for control. My second tip for falling in love with the unknown, learning to be in the unknown, is going to be to lean into excitement. When you are not living in the unknown, you are living in the predictable past, and everything will be predictable. There will be nothing new. There will be nothing exciting. Everything is going to be what you've already experienced. And that's why you have to lean into the energy of excitement. Like, every single way that I think that this is going to go, it's not going to go that way. It's going to go a completely different way. And that is so exciting. And that's actually one of the things that drives me to just be in the unknown so much, is because, okay, so like, for example, when I'm manifesting or something, right? I could sit here for the next 5 hours and think of all the different ways that this could play out. Like, let's say I'm manifesting a new friend. I'm like, I could meet them in this way. 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 Ooh, this could happen. Somebody could introduce me to them. The most aligned friendships, when you're really playing in the realm of possibility, when you're really manifesting with the universe, the most aligned friendship is not going to come any of those ways, because it's predictable. You've already experienced it in that way, or you can think of it. Because we're playing in the realm of infinite possibilities, oh my gosh, it's going to come in a different way, a way that you least expect it. And that is so fucking exciting. So you really got to just lean into the energy of excitement. Like, I'm so excited to experience how this is going to play out and see how my story is going to unfold. And that's really the wave that I've been riding in my life the last, year, is like, God, this year was so unpredictable. In every single way, it was massively unpredictable. And I'm just like, okay, I have no idea what the next year is going to hold, but I know it's going to be exciting as fuck. And I can't wait to see what unfolds. So lean into excitement versus fear. Like, it's actually really exciting when you think about it. It's so exciting. The third tip I have for falling in love with the unknown and releasing your need for certainty is to build self-trust and find your confidence within. And when I say this, it's like you kind of got to look for proof in your past that you've always figured it out, girl. You've always figured it out. You really, 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 really have. You're here. You made it to this point, and everything is figure outable. My mom used to say this to me all the time when I was younger, and I just remembered it. She's like, well, figure it out. Everything is figure outable. And I truly kind of live by that now. Like, whenever I'm anxious about something, whenever I am having a moment of just like massive anxiety, I'm like, it's figure outable. You're going to get through this. You've been through so much worse than this. This is figure outable. This is temporary. And so I think that finding confidence that you've always figured it out and you'll figure it out again is where you can kind of like start to build more confidence. An exercise that I give my clients is having them write down all the things that they didn't think was going to turn out okay, but it turned out okay, just to start to build that self-trust muscle, right? And if you don't have self-trust, this is a topic that has come up in my Inner Work Alchemy group. And what I was reminding the girls, I was like, self-trust is not built in big moments. It's built in small moments when you do what you say you're going to do and you show up for yourself. And so for everyone listening, I want you to answer this question as it comes to your mind. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you trust yourself? Trust that first number that you get. Now, the way that you increase that number is by doing what you say you're going to do. And a lot of times with my clients, we do this by focusing on little disciplines. What that means is finding small things that you can for sure complete throughout your day to start to build trust with yourself. So with my clients, we start with like making a bed or doing the dishes before bed, like really small things that you can absolutely do, going on a 10-minute walk. And even though these seems like seemingly dumb things, guys, what it does is it starts to give you some reference points of like you saying, oh, when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. When I say I do something, I'm going to do it. Like my self-trust with myself is 10. When I say I'm going to do something, I just fucking know I'm going to do it. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no like, I hope I get it done. Like I just know I'm going to get it done because I always get shit done. I always do. And so if you need to build up your self-trust, you want to start with keeping promises to yourself. And I'm sure I've said this somewhere on the podcast before, but you really want to think of self-trust like with a friend, right? If you have a friend and they never show up for you, you're not going to trust them. They say, I'm going to hang out. They never hang out. They say, I'm going to come. They never come. It's like the way that they would build that trust with you is by keeping their word. So you got to keep your word with yourself. And if you don't keep your word, how do you expect to trust whatever you say? Like of course you're not going to trust yourself. You never actually do what you say you're going to do, right? So building self-trust and finding confidence that you will figure it out because you always have. My last tip for falling in love with the unknown is stop overcomplicating it. What the unknown is, guys, really hear this. This is so simple. The unknown is being present. That's it. Living in the unknown is being so present in your life that you're not thinking about the future or the past. When you're present, that is when unexpected things can happen to you. When you're present, that is when you're in the energy of the unknown and miracles can occur. Whenever I'm deeply present in my life, that's when something comes and surprises me because I'm not like overthinking like, how is this going to occur? Oh my God, where is my new friend? Where's my new boyfriend? Whatever. Like, it's like, I'm just so present. I'm letting it unfold. And so I think that people really overcomplicate it of like, how do I live in the unknown? The unknown is just another word for the present moment. Even when, Joe Dispenza teaches like being in the unknown, what he teaches is that the unknown is the present moment. So when you're sitting in your meditation, when you're sitting in the unknown, you're just sitting in the place where you're not thinking about your future and your past. It's pretty simple, but I'm going to just simplify it even more for you because people always tell me like, wow, the way you said it was just so much better. So not that it's better. I fucking love him, but you know what I mean? Like I really heard it when you said it. So I'm hoping that lands for you is if you're like, okay, Kristen, but how do I tangibly practice this? Practice being present, right? Every single time, and the way that I tangibly practice this in my life is like every single time I find my mind wandering to the future, wandering to the past, worrying about something, I'm just like, no, be here now. Be here now, right? I saw this bumper sticker the other day. I was with my sister at a coffee shop and I think we saw that together and she was like, I just love that bumper sticker. And it said, I would rather be here now. And I just was like, yes, like here is the only place we can be. So why not soak up this present moment? And you know what else I was thinking about, guys? Like, God, life moves so fast. Like, does anyone else feel like time is just moving way quicker than it was when you were younger? Like, I just feel like weeks go by and it feels like 2 days. And I was talking to my mom about this too. I was like, Mom, do you feel like time is just going so fast? And she was like, yeah, I do. And I was just like, oh, like, I just feel like things move so quickly and it's like I don't know. Sometimes I want time to slow down a little bit, And so why are you somewhere else in your head? There's nowhere else to be but right here. And even if right here is painful or bad, you can always find some beauty in like, you're never going to be this version of you going through this thing again. And I really try to soak that up. Like, I'm never going to be Kristen at 29 years old, just moved into this new house, just soaking it up ever again. So I'm going to just like romanticize the fuck out of this time period. I'm never going to be, in this phase with these friendships, with this thing. It's just like things move quick. Everything is temporary, so we have to soak it up. And yeah, I hope this just maybe sparked something in you that is going to help you soak it up. And just want to remind you that there's also such a temporary nature to life. And I think that you can use this to fall in love with the unknown too. It's like, because everything is so temporary, be present with whatever, because everything is going to change. Everything is going to shift, and you are going to want moments of this version of you back, even if you might not think that, right? So just be present, be gentle with yourself, be kind to yourself is what I really, really want to say. I do have a very exciting announcement for you guys that does conclude like the 4 tips, but I have a huge freaking announcement. I'm so excited. I can barely contain myself, but Alignment Academy, the membership, is opening in a couple weeks. Guys, community has hands down been the most fundamental part of my healing journey, of my spiritual journey. It has made it so much sweeter. It's so amazing when you finally find your soul family. And I have had so many amazing connections come from this podcast, like not only me personally, but like meeting you guys in the DMs and just being like, I actually fuck with this person so hard. I love when you guys DM me like your thoughts or what you want me to talk about on the podcast or whatever. And I was just like, I have to create a place for us to all come together. So I will have the membership launch in a couple weeks. Please stay tuned. Turn my notifications on for Instagram. I am going to have a founders discount for the first week that it's open. So if you want to get in at a discounted rate, you can definitely get in. The membership is going to be such a special place. We're going to have community calls. We're going to have live meditations. We're going to have quarterly master classes. You are going to have a library of a lot of my past master classes. It's going to be so freaking amazing. And it's really going to be a space for you to safely heal and step into your next level. I mean, all the things that I'm into, we're going to be covering, right? So healing, shadow, inner child, quantum field shit, manifestation, just like exploration, loving the unknown, surrender, all these topics we're going to be covering, and it's going to be so freaking fun. I'm just so excited. So keep your eyes out for that. And another thing that I wanted to say, I know this is like story of my life on my podcast. I feel like we're just on a FaceTime and I'm just like, oh, and this and this and this and this. But the other thing that I wanted to say is I made a story about this the other day and so many people were like, can you expand on this? I wanted to give you guys some tips for staying consistent online. If you're struggling with like moving through the healing or like fear of being seen or whatever you are, which by the way, if you guys, a lot of you guys are asking if Scared to Seen is still available. You can buy it as a self-paced course. I'll link it below. You get access to it immediately when you purchase it. So you can still enroll in Scared to Seen. But the other day I was on a call with one of my clients and she was saying like, Kristen, how do I stay consistent when I'm a fucking mess? Like I have so much shit coming up. I never know how to actually show up authentically when I'm like a mess on the inside. Like I feel so inauthentic if I'm making content online. And I was giving her this mindset shift that I want to share with you guys is like, if you guys are working on consistency in your business and you're like, God, I just have a lot going on internally. I sometimes have a lot going on too, but the way you have to look at it is like business is masculine. It's just a business. This is just your job. Your job is just to show up online. You don't have to feel completely aligned and embodied in your message 100% of the time. Of course, you want that, right? That's best case scenario is that you do feel aligned and embodied and so just in your power and in integrity with what you're teaching. But there's times where this is real life, guys. My real life is not always going to be perfect. And so I have to just show up as my job. It's just a job. Take the emotions out of it. Think about men when they have to go to their job, but they're going through it. Are they in their emotions and crying in the bathroom? No. They just show up to their freaking job. And if you want this to be your full-time job, if you're a new content creator or a new coach and you're like, I want to go full-time, you got to treat it like a full-time thing. You got to show up 5 days a week for your job. And 5 days a week, you might not be deeply inspired, right? You might not be deeply inspired 5 days a week, but you better get something up. And so my advice for you is like, take the emotions out of it sometimes. Sometimes it's not that deep. Sometimes you just need to get a post up because you got to get a post up. And I think that this is so relevant of the masculine and feminine energy of like, sometimes you need to know when it's time to be in your masculine, and sometimes you need to know when it's time to be in your feminine. Like I really follow my feminine, like with my intuition, and when I'm on my client calls and I need to be more of that mothering energy, but sometimes it's masculine time and it's like, I just got to get shit up. I just got to do this. I got to not think too deeply about this and not think about who's going to watch and what they're going to it's like, no, it's a business. Just show up for your business, right? So I just want to squeeze that in there because I got a lot of questions about that and thought it was relevant. But yeah, I think that's all I got for this week, guys. I am, again, still in love with Inner Work Alchemy. We're having so much fun healing our inner child. It's very deeply triggering too. It's a lot of hard work, but it's so rewarding to see them starting to feel more confident and more self-assured and just doing the work and knowing how to do the work. So if you're wanting to join the next round of Inner Work Alchemy, you can join on the waitlist below. But I love you guys. I hope that this was powerful and activating for you. DM me. Let me know your biggest takeaways. As always, I love when you guys slide into my DM so I can stalk you and we can be friends. So let's hang out in the DMs. I love you guys. Let me know what episode requests you want next, and I will see you next week. Bye.